of Moscow, Russia, St. Basil's Cathedral in Red Square. This is Kremlin Cup tennis on the Sanex WTA Tour. Today's featured matchup, #1 seed and world #1 Martina Hingis taking on 5th seed from France, Amelie Mauresmo. And alongside me and my partner today, Mary Jo Fernandez, for the first time, Martina Hingis is #1 on the WTA Tour right now, firmly on the #1 spot, but that gap is getting a little closer.
Well, a lot of people question, Mal, why Martina Hingis is still #1. She hasn't won a Grand Slam since the '99 Australian Open, but she's one of the few that stays healthy, is very consistent, but the gap is getting smaller between, I think, the top two and Venus Williams. At the beginning of the year, Davenport and Hingis had about 3,000 point advantage over the rest of the field, and now it's only 1,000 points. So it's still a lot of points, but Venus is definitely catching up.
And some people saying, well, maybe that shouldn't be the case because Hingis hasn't won a major this year, the first time she hasn't won a major since 1996, but she still has won 7 titles this year and firmly at the #1 spot. Also in that list, we saw Natalie Toziat, who is also in the semifinals here in Moscow. Martina Hingis serving first ball.
Well, Martina Hingis has really tried to get fit this year. She decided to skip the Olympics for that purpose, to finish the year strongly. These two have played 7 times. Mauresmo is not intimidated playing Martina Hingis. She beat her in Sydney in the semis earlier this year. She's a big, powerful player, Amelie Mauresmo. Has a good first serve, beautiful looking backhand, and she goes for a shot. She's not scared to come in, as you see here, runs around, nails the forehand.
You mentioned that Mauresmo had beaten Hingis earlier this year. That was in Sydney, right before the Australian Open. She also went on to beat Davenport and Pierce in that tournament. So here's a player in Mauresmo who has the ability to take down not only just average players, but some of the best players in the world.
Well, Mauresmo has all the goods. She's a very dangerous player. This year, unfortunately, she suffered from a lot of back problems. She had to retire at Indian Wells and was off for 7 weeks before coming back to the tour in Bol, Croatia, where she reached the final, then reached the finals of Rome. But then at Wimbledon, after her first round defeat, again had to take time off because of lower back pain and didn't return to the tour until the Olympics.
Double break point for Mauresmo.
Hingis, on the other hand, has been very fit. You see her week in and week out. She plays a lot of tournaments. As you mentioned, she won 7 tournaments this year, reached 10 finals, and the tournaments she's winning are the high-level tournaments. So they're Tier 1s, like this one in Moscow. This is the only Tier 1 she's never won.
And Mauresmo has Hingis running side to side, gets an early break here in the first set. And that is one of the things that Martina Hingis has had problems dealing with, is with these power players. I definitely consider Mauresmo one of those power players. Also, the Williams sisters, Lindsay Davenport, because in my opinion, Hingis is not nearly as strong as those other players.
That's right, Mal. Hingis has to use what she does best, which is her movement. She anticipates very well. She hits very deep in the court. And she can come in. She can sneak in, take balls out of the air, and put her opponents under pressure. But in that point, she was the one doing all the running, Mauresmo dictating from the start. Hingis is coming into this event with a lot of confidence. She's just won Filderstadt and Linz over Davenport, a player who she always has trouble against. She's really feeling very confident, really thinking she's going to take the last few tournaments of the year.
Just won in her home country for the first time. Did Martina Hingis on a 6th try.
Nice first serve by Mauresmo. She won in Zurich Another Tier 1 tournament. Should mention the Grand Slams and the Chase Championships are the biggest events during the year for the Sanix WTA Tour. But after that, there are 9 Tier 1 events, starting off in Tokyo after the Australian Open, which Hingis won.
And once again, Mauresmo taking the serve out wide on the deuce side, opening up the court, playing to the open court, keeping Hingis on the run.
Mauresmo has a lot of variety in her game. She's a power player, but she's got that slice on the backhand side, which most of the players don't these days because they have 2 hands on that backhand side. There she unleashes that backhand. It's really hard to tell now where she's going to hit it. She has great shoulder turn, Mauresmo, and she can go either down the line or across court. And that's a shot that gives the players a really difficult time.
There she's using the backhand slice just to keep herself in the point. And there's the backhand you're talking about, where she can just step up and drive it.
She was 2 feet behind the baseline when she hit that backhand for a winner. That shows how strong she is.
Now, aside from the injuries that has really limited Mauresmo this year, do you think she's a player at 21 years old has the ability to win a major?
She sure does. I mean, again, look at this backhand down the line. Great form. The biggest difficulties I find in Mauresmo's game is her mental game. She's not as consistent mentally as the other top players. Should be streaky at times, can play a couple great games, and then makes unforced errors. So I think that's the part of the game she really needs to work on.
Well, 2 great games to start out this match here in the semifinal. 2-0 Mauresmo. Now, by no means do I want to clump all French men and French women into the same category, but you mentioned the mental side of the game. I think that is something some of the French players that I have known, especially on the men's tour, have been challenged with. Whether it's Arnaud Bosch or Guy Forget or Henri Lecomte, these are just very free-spirited people, and sometimes if you look at their games, you say, you know what, it's the mental side of the game that limits them a little bit.
I think you're right, Mal. I think over the past years you've gone into playing players from France and said, okay, well, if you can hang in there, get to the big points, you're going to win those points. But Mauresmo has shown that she can do it. She really surprised me in 1999 when she took out Lindsay Davenport in the semifinals. Davenport was playing some great tennis, and she hung in there in the 3rd set.
That there at the the Australian Open in 1999.
She didn't crack. And that for me was a great sign.
But in my opinion, definitely overwhelmed in the finals against Hingis.
Right on the line.
And Hingis gets on the board here in the 1st set. She's still down a break. 2-1. Mauresmo to serve when we come back.
NFL Tonight, Tuesday through Saturday.
Our exclusive coverage. Mauresmo serving up a break 2-1 here in the 1st set against Martina Hingis. I am Amelie of Washington with Mary Jo Fernandez. still, once again, putting pressure on Hingis with just the sheer pace of her shots, Mauresmo is. An errant backhand from Mauresmo. Still 30-15. And ace number 1 for Mauresmo.
You don't see too many one-handed players these days, Mal, anymore. Mauresmo, Tosiak, Conchita Martinez. 3 of the top players that hit with one hand, but these days the young girls come out with that double-handed backhand with a lot of control, a lot of power. It's nice to see, though, the flair of the one-handed.
I think it's a beautiful shot, the one-handed backhand. I actually started out with a one-handed backhand when I was little and eventually switched to the two-handed backhand just because I really wasn't able to will the racket around very well. Easy put away for Mauresmo.
Well, I think so far, by watching Mauresmo, you really get the sense that she believes that she can win this match. There's no intimidation there whatsoever. She's come out playing very aggressively, going for her shots. And taking it to Martina Hingis.
Which is what I think is important for her to do going up against a player who has a 2-5 record against. She has to come out playing confidently, solidly, because she's got to figure Martina is pretty confident going into this match based on her results this week and previous weeks. But she's definitely coming out and taking it to Hingis, a big forehand up the line off of first serve.
Terrific return of serve. But Hingis respects Mauresmo. She knows that she's got the capability of beating her. And that's the trademark shot from Martina Hingis, that backhand down the line. Tremendous accuracy. Also disguises that shot very well.
I don't know if Hingis thought that ball was out on the baseline, but there was no call. I think that ball right there she might have thought was out. And just kind of gives up on the point. That's a mental error by Hingis.
Big mistake. You're taught to play every ball until it's called out.
And break number 2 for Mauresmo. She's up 4-1 in complete control of this first set, looking to get into the semifinals.
This may not be the first or the last truck you buy, but 11 Eastern on ESPN.
Ends 2-minute drill, Mondays and Thursdays at 7.
And Amelie Mauresmo up 4-1, 2 breaks of serve here in the first semifinal at the Kremlin Cup. ESPN's Outside the Lines looks at teens in the NBA this coming Tuesday night. That's the night Deshaun Stevenson, the latest high school player to jump to the NBA, makes his debut with the Utah Jazz. Join Bob Lee for Outside the Lines, presented by State Farm, Tuesday at 7 p.m. Eastern on ESPN. For more, log on to ESPN.com. So Martina Hingis feeling a little out of sorts right now. She doesn't find herself down 2 breaks of serves very much early in a match.
She sure doesn't. She had a tough match in her quarterfinals against Demenchieva, the U.S. Open semifinalist and Olympic silver medalist. She was cruising along, winning 6-0-2 love. When things got complicated, she lost that second set 7-6 and faced 3 break points at 4-all in the third before pulling it out 7-5. So she could be feeling a little bit from that match. Semencheva, a young Russian, very promising. We've seen a little bit of her this year. She reached the semis also of Indian Wells. She lost to Lindsay Davenport, but a feisty player.
You mentioned Demencheva. I mean, she's a player I'm impressed by. She's a Russian, young Russian. So much attention goes to Anna Kournikova.
And
but
she's getting the good results.
I think she's a baller.
She really is.
Only 18 years old. Going to be seeing a lot more out of her over the next several years. Big forehand down the line from Mauresmo.
Well, it's all Mauresmo right now. She's controlling the majority of the points, taking the ball early on the rise, hitting it with that heavy topspin, just leaving Hingis flat-footed.
I like the way she cut off the angle on that forehand. She was several feet behind the baseline, cut off the angle. By the time she hits it, she's on top of the baseline. Absolute dominance right now with that forehand.
Well, Mauresmo's very good when she can run around and hit the forehand. She's got a really Western grip on that side. If you can kind of attack it and pull her out wide, she has more difficulties with it. That is actually the side that will break down if it gets close.
Three consecutive winners.
I mean, she is just ripping the ball. I don't think you can tell on TV how hard and how heavy this ball's coming at you. But makes it look effortless. Great shoulder turn. She's again a couple feet behind the baseline when she hits that winner.
Well, those last 3 winners, Hingis really had no play on it. You know there's a lot of pace on those balls when she doesn't even move. She's one of the quicker players around the court, Hingis.
And Hingis is one of the best anticipators in the game. She usually can read where the balls are going. Gets a little bit of a head start, but not so far in this match.
And now Hingis serving to stay in the first set, 1-5.
Great hands to the net by Martina Hingis. Hingis has great variety in her game, and I think that's what she needs to do when she's playing against opponents that can overpower her. She needs to come in, take some chances. That was not an easy volley, but she made it look effortless. I think Hingis should throw in the serve and volley occasionally, especially on the indoor courts. They're a little quicker.
I'm always an advocate of throwing in the serve and volley a little bit, just to throw your opponent off, let them see something a little different. Put it in their minds that you might be coming into the net.
I think it's also easier to serve and volley when you play a player that has a one-handed backhand.
Easy game for Hingis. She holds on only for the second time in this first set. When we come back, Amelie Mauresmo will be serving for the first set and soon to be in the final.
Hi, I'm Tony Konza, Blimpie Fountain.
Amelie Mauresmo, the 5th seed, a 5-2 lead over Martina Hingis, the number 1 seed here in this first semifinal at the Kremlin Cup. Definitely dominating this match so far. Some of the things that have gone on this week, Mary Jo.
Well, Davenport pulled out with fatigue. She's trying to save herself also for the end of the year. She's going to be playing in Philadelphia in the Chase Championships. And Martina Hingis, consistent as ever. She's going for the number 1, 18th straight week. And the Russians here in Moscow. 8 entered in the main draw. Only Kournikova remains in the semi. She'll be playing Natalie Tauziat. Kournikova's never lost to a Russian. before. She's never played, though, Demenchieva or Miskina, another young, promising Russian.
Now, is this going to be kind of like a Russian invasion over the next several years, an invasion of the WTA Tour with 8 players in this one tournament alone?
I think it's heading that way. I think everything goes in cycles, and right now there are a lot of good Russians coming onto the tour. They're young, they're eager, they're fresh.
Demenchieva, one of those young, eager players that we mentioned a few minutes ago. And after dominating this first set so far, Mauresmo serving for the set, a couple of errors, love 30. Be a good time to get a first serve in. Now 3 consecutive errors as she's serving for this first set, a double fault. Love 40. First real opportunity that Hingis has had on the Mauresmo serve today.
Second ace for Mauresmo. Always tough to put away those sets, those matches against the top-ranked players.
And Hingis gets the break of serve, 5-3. Now you say it's always tough to put away a set or a match like that. Why is that?
Mentally, it's just very hard. You start thinking about it. You think about who you're playing, what the situation is. And you know, Mal, from experience, you just start to tense up. You don't go for your shots like you were. You play safely. You play not to lose instead of taking it like you had been to your opponent.
And that happened to Demenchieva earlier this week against Hingis. She said late in the third set, she was sitting there waiting for Hingis to actually make some errors, and it just didn't come. It just didn't happen, and it ended up being her who, in the last game of the match, threw in a couple of double faults. But I think the only way you get used to those situations is by being in those situations time after time again.
I had to force myself on many occasions just to say, okay, it's not 5-2 me. I'd play mind tricks with myself. You know, it's 4-3. You know, I got to hold this serve to, you know, stay ahead, do whatever it takes to get your mind to let you feel free and hit out on your strokes.
Really? And so you would do that?
I would change. Yeah, I'd change the score in my head. I'd do all sorts of things.
Really? See, I never did that. And that would relax you and just make you... Interesting. But obviously it worked very well for you.
Sometimes.
40 love. So from 1-5 down in the first set, Hingis back to 4-5. Mauresmo will serve for the set for the second time when we come back.
They're young. Handsome.
Your tools and your toys, all in one carry-on. The new Bio-SR.
Bio.
Martina Hingis back to 4-5 after being down 2 breaks, now down only 1 break here in the semifinal of the Kremlin Cup, alongside Mary Jo Fernandez and Malavia Washington. So once again, Mauresmo was served for the first set. Be important here to get a lot of first serves in, try to cut down on the errors, no easy mistakes. And that is a good way to start it with an ace, number 3.
That's the best way to start it. Don't have to worry about hitting any other shots.
Absolutely.
First couple points I always find critical when you're serving first set. Try to win those first 2.
Well, you win those first couple of points, you just kind of...
You can take a breather, exactly.
You take a breather, you relax very quickly. All right, now you're up 15 love. Let's get to business. And an overrule by the chair umpire on that call, 15 all. Now it'll be interesting to see if that missed backhand after playing a perfect point is going to come back and haunt her in this game. She should be up 30-15 right now, but she's not.
She sure should be, because this backhand was a sitter, but I think she took too big of a swing. Didn't really have to do that much with that shot. Makes up for it with that forehand, hitting it on the rise. And now Amelie Mauresmo's been taking the initiative right away. When she hits that serve and Hingis hits the return, right away she goes for her shot. And that's putting Hingis on the defensive. She tried to do it again there, but nerves are definitely playing a part right now with Mauresmo.
And once again, another error off the forehand side. And Hingis 1 point away from being 5 all. And it is 5 all. Mauresmo serves for the first set on 2 different occasions and cannot get it done. And Mary Jo, that missed backhand at 15 all, I think was a big factor in that game.
Well, it sure was. It put her down in the game, and then the forehand she missed was kind of easy. And here she was in control at that point. But Martina Hingis, that's why she's #1 in the world. She doesn't give up. She finds ways to dig her way out of certain situations. And I think for Hingis, Mal, it's a fine line, because even though Mauresmo was starting to throw in a few unforced errors, she's still dangerous and still can come up with these kind of shots. That backhand on the rise again from behind the baseline. Incredible power. So I think Hingis still has to be a little bit more forceful, take a few more chances, sneak in, and take the initiative away from Mauresmo.
Well, just like Mauresmo really couldn't wait for Hingis to make errors, it's the same thing with Martina. She can't just wait and hope that Mauresmo is going to make errors. She's going to have to take it to her if she wants to win this first set. See if Mauresmo can calm her nerves a little bit, regain her composure, and stay in this first set. 30 love.
Actually 30-15 now. Mauresmo won that first point of the game with that backhand down the line. But this time it's Martina's turn to take the ball on the rise. A little oomph behind that forehand.
Game point for Hingis to be up in this match for the first time. 40-15. And an ace for Hingis. She has brought herself back from a 1-5 deficit to a 6-5 lead. Mauresmo serving to stay in the set right after this.
Buy what you want.
And pick up all of these little things because they're everywhere.
And welcome back, everybody. Moscow, Russia. Alongside Mary Jo Fernandez, I am Malavia, Washington. This is semifinal action. Amelie Mauresmo serving to stay in this first set.
Minutes ago, Mal, excuse me. It really looked like Mauresmo was going to cruise through that first set.
Well, she was dominating all the way up till 5-1 and threw in a couple errors, got a little tight, and here she is just fighting to stay in the first set.
That goes back to what we were talking about earlier about the mental toughness, about her being a little bit streaky. She rolls off a few great games, but then can let her guard down.
Exactly, Mary Jo. You called that because I asked you if she had the ability to take it to the next level and win a major, and you said that was one of the things that is kind of limiting her right now is the mental side of her game.
Slice there by Hingis. On the Supreme Court, the ball stays very low. Gave a lot of trouble here to Amelie Mauresmo. This ball went away from Mauresmo. She had to really dig for it. Couldn't pick it up.
Triple set point for Hingis. And another forehand error off the racket of Mauresmo gives Hingis the first set 7-5. She is now in control of this match. That was not the case 10 minutes ago.
Red Wings Capitals, Tuesday at 8 on ESPN2.
In 1999 at the Australian Open in the finals, Hingis took on Amelie Mauresmo. Mary Jo?
Mauresmo had taken out Lindsay Downpour in the semifinal with shots like that one you just saw. There was a little controversy behind this match because Hingis came out with some comments saying that playing Mauresmo was like playing a man. Mauresmo came out so strong. It was really the first time that players noticed what a great talent she was.
And Hingis in her third consecutive Aussie Open final here in this match. That's an example of the great tennis that this young lady, Amelie Mauresmo, can play. And on match point number 7, Mauresmo saved 6 of them. Hingis gets it done. And that 6-2, 6-3 victory over Mauresmo was the last time Hingis has won a major.
She's been close a few more times, reaching a couple more finals in '99. But she's been overpowered by the Davenports and the Williams. Hingis lost to Mary Pierce at this year's French Open. That's the one Grand Slam title she has not won yet.
And I think it's just a matter of time, in my opinion, before she does win that French Open. She's been in the finals 2 consecutive times there, 2 years ago losing to Steffi Graf.
I think it's going to get tougher, though. I think the road is definitely a lot tougher than it was a few years ago. I think that opportunity for Hingis was there when she played Eva Maioli and lost in the final. And you'd think that clay, the red clay court, would suit her game the best. But as she's gotten older, only at 20 years old I say that, she's not as patient as she used to be. And it's hard for her to finish off points on the slower surfaces.
Now, are you saying you don't believe she'll win a French Open?
I think it's going to be hard for her. I think if Venus and Serena continue on their way and continue to improve, it's going to be tough to beat those girls on the red clay.
40-15. So 6 consecutive games for Hingis, from down 1-5 to up a set and 1-love here in the second set.
Mauresmo now just needs to slow down, regroup, say, okay, what got me to 5-1? What was I doing right? And cut back on those unforced errors.
That, and she was just hitting a lot of winners off of both wings. Love. Mauresmo needs to get on the board here early in the second set. After losing 6 consecutive games, you got to think her confidence is not where it was early on.
Hingis looking a lot more confidence right now. You can see it in her footwork. She's taking little steps between the shots. Taking the ball early. She holds her ground so well, Mal. She reminds me of Andre Agassi. When she's forced deep into the court, she just uses her legs and has great balance.
Another big winner from Mauresmo, 30-15. Good serve, good return from Hingis. Still game point for Mauresmo, 40-30.
Hingis has been spending a lot of time in Saddlebrook, Florida, where she lives part-time of the year, trying to get fitter, trying to get stronger. Remember this summer, she was saying that she thought that's what she needed to hang in there with the power players, to hit a little bit harder. But she did say that she noticed that she lost a little bit of foot speed because of all the weight she was doing. And that's a fine line. You want to get stronger, you want to be able to last in these long matches. I feel that's been one of her biggest problems against Venus Williams, like at the U.S. Open. She just lost all her gas at the end of that third set. But you don't want to lose that quickness that she's known for.
Well, I think there was a period a couple of years ago where she was so dominant on the women's tour, she didn't need to take her strength or her speed or her conditioning to another level. And a second serve ace from Mauresmo. And I think Hingis feels that now, because there's a lot more competition with the Williams sisters and Davenport, she needs to take her strength to another level. Hingis not quite sure if that ball, that second serve ace was in, but called good. And I remember in the early, or I'd say in the mid-'80s, when Navratilova, Martina Navratilova, I think she took women's tennis to another
Sure
level.
did. She was the first one.
With her strength, with her fitness, and her conditioning. And everyone else had to rise to her level. And I think with some of the other players out there, specifically the Williams sisters, who are taking the speed and the agility and the strength of women's tennis also to another level, people are really thinking, players are thinking, okay, I need to up everything.
Another tremendous backhand down the line by Mauresmo. I totally agree, Mal. I really think that Martina Navratilova was the first one to put fitness on the map in women's tennis. And it's been getting better and better every year. And now with Venus and Serena, it's just at another new level. And Martina Hingis wants to stay up on top, wants to stay number one, and she knows that's one of the things she needs to do that.
Another big forehand game point for Mauresmo, and isn't that the story in so many sports today? All the athletes are getting bigger, stronger, better, faster, quicker around their court or field of play. Well played. And finally, Mauresmo gets on the board. After losing 6 consecutive games, 1-all here in the second set.
And that was a big game for Mauresmo. She faced a break point. Now hopefully she can settle down again. Good retrieving by Martina Hingis. She does that very well. Good anticipating, but Mauresmo coming to the net. Another player that can volley very well.
And that's another sign of the time. So many players in years past were a little more one-dimensional. Now you have to be multi-dimensional and have the all-court game. And really lacking nowhere in your game if you really want to succeed at a high level.
I still think most of these power players, though, they don't need to come into net that much because they're putting so many balls away from the baseline. I think it's a scary thought to think of a Venus or a Serena learning how to effectively play at the net, how to serve and volley and cover the court like a Martina Navratilova. Then I can't see anybody beating them.
Big first serve from Hingis. And that's one of, in my opinion, just from watching Martina Hingis, where she can get into trouble sometimes is with her serve. Especially on her second serve, because it seems the setup there doesn't have a ton of pace on it. And with big players such as a Davenport, who can jump on it, or a player like Mauresmo, well, it can give her some problems. But with a backhand like that, maybe you can have a weak second serve. She is up 2-1 in the second set.
We're all one family. One.
Number 1 seed Martina Hingis up a set in 2-1, looking to get into the finals here at the Kremlin Cup. But tomorrow, Tiger Woods shoots for his 10th title of the most exciting player are on ABC Sports Sunday at 4 p.m. Eastern, 1 p.m. Pacific.
10th title, huh?
That's not a bad year.
Not bad.
I wish I had 1 year like that. Actually, I wish I had a career like that. I didn't even win 10 tournaments in my career.
Neither did I. Well, Hingis has had a career like that. 1997, Hingis barely lost. 3 out of the 4 Grand Slams. Mauresmo, again, trying to take the initiative early in the rally.
Hingis having 33 titles in her career, almost $14 million in prize money.
She's only 20 years old.
That's not a bad career.
She could probably play another 10 years, too.
And I hope she does. I'd love to see her play another 10 years. That would be a treat for fans all around the world.
Hingis has been a great number one. She's very down to earth, even though sometimes it comes across as a little, she's a little cocky and a little arrogant. But I think she's just very confident in herself. But she's friendly with everyone. She's always happy, comes into the locker room smiling and talking to everyone. And that's nice to see.
I think to be able to accomplish some of the things that she's accomplished and to be at that level, there is going to have to be a small bit of self-confidence, maybe even arrogance, as you might call it, about yourself. Miss hit from Mauresmo. Hingis definitely a player who, when she feels she should win, she'll come out and tell you that she feels she should win. Nice defense from Hingis, getting that passing shot down low, making Mauresmo hit up on that volley. Unsuccessfully.
Hingis was behind the baseline. You don't always have to go for the passing shot. Like you said, Mal, she hit low at the feet. Make your opponent volley up. Get another chance.
Little misfortune with the net cord. Easy put away for Hingis. Break point. And a double falls off of the racket of Mauresmo, gives Hingis a 3-1 lead, now 3 games away from her 11th final of this 2000. She has won 9 of the last 10 games, and Mauresmo just doesn't know what to do with herself right now, because she was in complete control of this match at 5-1 in the first set, and since then it has been a train going downhill for her.
Funny enough, even though Mauresmo was up 5-1, she never had a set point.
Served for the set twice.
Hingis unhappy with herself, knowing that she hit that ball a little too short on the court. Giving Mauresmo all the time in the world to hit that winner.
Match just 52 minutes long, 15 all. Mauresmo trying to get a little more height on that ball to get back into play. Pushes it long. I like to see that. She's getting on herself a little bit. Not quite sure what she said.
I don't know, but it sounded like, okay, I should be winning this. I need to hit more heavy balls like that one I just hit.
Well, just getting on herself a little bit, trying to get something going here in the second set. Trying to get back on serve and work her way back into the match. That's the kind of point she wants to put together. Taking Hingis from side to side brings up a double break point.
Great opportunity here for Mauresmo to get back on track. A little confidence again. Needs to keep moving that ball side to side, keep hitting with that heavy topspin. Force Martina back behind that baseline. Hingis loves to stay right on that baseline, taking the ball nice and early. Mauresmo's got the ability to push her back, those heavy shots.
Lob goes just long, and Mauresmo gets on the board again, but she's still down 3-2 here in the second set. When we come back, she will be serving.
You'll find Louis South in the state and in the standings, and the Raiders' potent offense will try to keep it that way. It's the Raiders versus the Chargers at 8:30 on ESPN Sunday Night Football. It's football after dark.
Kremlin Cup tennis semifinal action. Martina Hingis up a set 7-5 and 3-2 here in the second set over Amelie Mauresmo. This is the first time in the history of this event that both the men's and the women's events have been played at the same time. Here the semifinal matchup for the men. Murat Safin is playing Prinosil, and Marc Rosset of Switzerland taking on Kafelnikov.
I think we know who the crowd's going to be cheering for.
Absolutely. An opportunity for two Russian men in Safin and Kafelnikov to get into the final, meeting each other here in Moscow. That would be a delight for all of the fans in Moscow, I am sure. This is a tournament that Kafelnikov has won 3 times. Been in the finals a 4th time.
And there's a good chance they'll also have Kornikova in the finals of the women's event.
Kornikova in the other semifinal, taking on Frenchman Natalie Toziat, countrywoman of Mauresmo. Well done from Hingis, taking the backhand early, jumping on it, getting Mauresmo on the run, hitting to the open court.
From the few unforced errors we've seen, Hingis hitting a long time. She's really, since being down 5-1, played a very clean match.
A clean match, kind of tennis she usually plays. Jumping on balls, moving the ball around the court.
And a lot of depth, that backhand forcing the error from Mauresmo. That is key for Martina Hingis against the big power players, to keep that ball deep into the court, a lot of accuracy.
Well, when you're able to do that, keep that ball within a few feet of the baseline, you're really going to nullify what your opponent can do, no matter how big of a hitter they are. Not only keeping the ball deep, but also the closer you get the ball to the sidelines, moving your opponent off out of the middle of the court, the better off you're going to be.
And that's something that Chris Severt and Tracy Austin used to do so well. They didn't hit the ball that hard, but 9 out of 10 times that ball was inches away from the line.
Break point for Hingis again.
Oh, great point.
Great point from both players.
Best point of the match, in my opinion, Mal. Saw a little bit of everything, and Martina Hingis at her best. Playing great defense. Look at this forehand on the run. Knows she has to go for it. She's outside the court. Comes up with a great passing shot.
And no chance for Mauresmo to reach it. 4-2, Hingis serving. Upper break again. Double fault from Hingis. And for those of you who are fans of all levels of the game of tennis, yesterday in Sydney, a bronze medal was won in the 2000 Paralympic Games. The U.S. men's doubles team of Scott Douglas and Stephen Welsh. Douglas from Alabama, Welsh from Texas, won the bronze medal. So congratulations to those two gentlemen.
And I'll add that Douglas has played on the tour for 14 years, and he threw his rackets in the crowd afterwards saying, "This is my retirement. I'm going out on a high note."
Douglas said, "I am done. I gave it my all." So
I'd say more than his all, Mal.
Congratulations and enjoy retirement. Hingis taking a long look at that sideline call. Look at the unforced errors. 38 from Mauresmo. I would guess about 99% of those errors have come since 5-1 in the first set.
No question about that. We also have to remember, though, that against Hingis, you are forced to go for more. Hingis covers the court so well. When you're playing a top player, you have to take it to them, and that's what Mauresmo was doing very successfully until 5-1. Game point for Martina Hingis. Go up 5-2 and serve for a place in the finals. But those last two errors, those are the ones you can't make. Up 15-30, you got to put the ball in play, be a little bit more consistent.
An ace from Martina Hingis. She is now one game away from the final, her 11th final of the year. She is up 5-2 here in the second set. Mauresmo serving, trying to stay in this match after this. This is the Kremlin Cup tennis from Russia, from Moscow, Russia. Semifinal action. Martina Hingis up a set in 5-2. Absolutely dominating this match since she was down 5-1 in the first set. Alongside Mary Jo Fernandez, I am Amelie, Washington. Here at Olympic Stadium in Moscow. And this stadium where they're playing is a huge facility. I played an event here, Mary Jo, back in '96. I mean, they probably have enough room in that stadium to lay out about 10 or 15 courts. Huge facility.
Doing everything right except executing at the end. She anticipated the backhand down the line from Hingis.
Some of the fans couldn't believe she missed that forehand volley. That was the easiest shot of the point for her, actually.
Those easy shots are the ones you have to concentrate the hardest on. It's a little too open. When she hit that volley, needed to turn those shoulders.
That missed volley, sometimes those are the kind of points, they're so routine. Those are the kind of shots that you make so often that you just get up there and you don't really think about your form or what you're doing, and you just hit it knowing you're going to make it. It throws in a little layer at an inopportune time for her. But she follows it up with a couple of winners.
I don't think enough players practice those easy shots that often. They think, oh, I'll get this in a match, but when it gets close and it's a tight match, nothing's easy.
I know I never practiced them. I just figured I'd always make them.
And I'm sure you most of the time did.
Nice job from Mauresmo on her back foot, just dipping that forehand pass just over the net at the feet of Hingis.
Hingis tried a little extra spin when she got up to that ball to confuse Mauresmo. To no avail.
Well, that was a very generous statement of you a moment ago. And I'll just say, okay, I agree with you. I didn't miss too many of those easy balls.
You sound a little like Martina Hingis.
I know it's not true, but if you want to make that statement, I'll accept
say
it.
that my dad made me practice those easy balls over and over again.
So Hingis now 5-3, serving for the match, serving for a spot in the final here at the Kremlin Cup. Her first appearance here. Her 11th final of the year if she can get these next 3 points. Well done.
The only Tier 1 tournament Martina Hingis has not won. She's won the other 8.
Way to close the net here by Hingis. All she has to do, a little backhand volley to the open court. 30-love. Another smart play from Hingis, not going for the power play, but going for the angle. Brings her to double match point, 40-15.
Remember, Mauresmo won the only meeting these two had earlier this year in Sydney.
Mauresmo saves 1 match point. Still 1 to go for Hingis, taking a couple of deep breaths. Saying, let's get a first serve in here, see if we can get an ace.
Maybe a serve and volley. You know, Hingis likes to serve and volley on match point. What do you think,
You think
Val?
she'll do it? I don't think so.
You're right.
Will she do it on her second serve, though?
Definitely not. That was a shaky second serve after hitting that double fall at 40-15. That serve barely got over the net. She's got to reach up, toss that ball up high.
Now that is a big return, and that is the serve I had mentioned a few minutes ago. When she throws in that weak second serve, there's some players who can jump on it and give her problems like Mauresmo did.
Well, that second serve was halfway up the box.
And in the middle of the box.
Exactly. It deserved that punishment. That unforced error gives Hingis another match point. Will she go for the serve volley here?
You know what? Sometimes when moments were tight for me, I like the serve and volley.
Too.
Just to kind of
think about having hit that ground stroke.
Go for it a little more. And she wasn't serving volley. See if Mauresmo decides to jump on the second again. And another winner off the backhand side from Mauresmo. That was a better second serve. She wasn't able to jump on it, but what looked like was the ball was going out. It falls for Mauresmo. Saves her 3rd match point. Another match point for Hingis. She'd like to win it on this match point right here, taking a few more deep breaths. Trying to relax, still looking for a good first serve.
And finally she was going to serve volley.
You are right, you did call that a few points ago. And the backhand there gives Martina Hingis the point, the game, and the match. Martina Hingis moves on to the final with a 7-5, 6-3 win over Amelie Mauresmo. And Mary Jo, she started out kind of slow, but in Martina Hingis style, she gets it done.
Well, I don't think it was so much she started slow, that Mauresmo started really fast. It was two different matches now, from 5-1 up for Mauresmo to 7-5, 6-3 for Hingis. Hingis, mentally strong, with a lot of confidence through the final.
So Martina Hingis in her 11th final of the year, defeating Amelie Mauresmo in straight sets.
This is a building they'll build.
Of ESPN, the worldwide leader in sports. For more, log on to ESPN.com.